It all started because of a question, an idea from his brother-in-law and an appearance by a Hollywood executive on his podcast, recorded earlier this year. To fully understand how and why Mike Tyson is getting back in the ring Saturday for the first time in 14 years, in an exhibition against Roy Jones Jr., start there. Tyson said that back in March, Azheem Spicer, the brother of Tyson's wife, Lakiha, approached him with an idea. Spicer knew Tyson didn't want to fight at the time, but would he entertain a bout against mixed martial artist Bob Sapp? The idea piqued Tyson's interest. I said, how would he want to fight me? I was in good, decent shape. I looked well. I wasn't in shape, but I looked like it because I was working out a little, Tyson told ESPN. He said he'll box you Marquess of Queensberry, and so I said, I'll do it. The fight with Sapp fell through. Then, Tyson said, other fights fell through, too. Around that time, Tyson had Sophie Watts, a longtime boxing fan and former president of STX Entertainment, on his podcast. Watts asked Tyson if there is any sort of sports league for icons who are larger than their particular sports. Tyson told her that nothing like that existed, but that it was an idea he had in the past, that he'd like to do it and that he'd like to start it with a fight featuring him. The idea became the Legends Only League, and Tyson-Jones Jr. is the first event. You surpassed your sport into being a global icon, and it's our belief that audiences, not just sports fans but audiences united, really want to engage with those icons and understand the story that made them a legend, Watts said. Mike is a legendary boxer, but he's also a legendary figure in lots of different ways. They still needed to find Tyson someone to fight. The idea of Jones Jr. came up in the spring. Tyson said he thinks it was Spicer who made the connection again, and the fight was agreed upon. Tyson said the two had discussed fighting in the early 2000s before Jones Jr. fought John Ruiz for the WBA heavyweight title, but it never happened. Now, in a different way, it will. I thought, wow, that's so awesome, Tyson said. It's always something I wanted to do, but it never happened. We both wanted to do it. It won't look quite like what you're expecting on Saturday at Staples Center. It is an 8-round exhibition with 2-minute rounds, no headgear, 12-ounce gloves instead of 10-ounce gloves and no legalized betting in the United States, because it is an exhibition fight. Tyson said his money from the fight will go to charity. Watts, who is part of the group with Tyson that created this new league and produced the fight, said, safety, for us, is of absolute paramount importance. That is part of why they had the WBC and commission involved. Watts also said they are trusting and relying on the California State Athletic Commission to protect the fighters.